Hola. Beware of the dreams that make you sacrifice your own well-being in the end. That's what I've been thinking about lately. I think it can be a tough lesson, because having a dream, wanting to live in a certain country, for example, like I always wanted to live in Ireland, and I finally made it come true in 2018 and moved there, is a beautiful thing. You know, it makes us do things. But the question is, how long do we pursue a dream if we end up sacrificing our own well-being? Because, you know, there are certain circumstances that aren't just panning out for us, or we are having bad luck. And yes, when I use my own example, I was living there for 6 years, and I just was from one difficult, challenging housing situation in the next. And looking backwards, I think that wasn't really good for my own well-being and for my health, for example. You know, it didn't allow me to somehow recover or look after myself properly. But I was so invested. I wanted to really stay in Galway, and I was so invested that I kind of was dismissing other things that should have been, I would say, really important as well, or even more important, my well-being aside, because that vision, once I would have reached that, once everything had fallen into place, I was sure that then I would feel better. That's what it was. And I think it's a tricky one. And I know I've been thinking about this again because, you know, I know a few people, we all end up in life in situations that are tough and difficult, and where we have to maybe that are a dead end in some way, shape or form. And it makes it so much harder if you come to a dead end when it was based on a dream you were pursuing, wanting to live in a certain place or wanting to do a certain thing. And you realize, for whatever reason, you have been giving your best, but it didn't pan out. And the question is always, how long are you gonna chip away at this, and to what cost? And obviously, you know, we are also being told that we should, and which is, as I've said, we should follow our dreams. But I think that I don't agree with that idea to make sacrifices that come at a too high cost. And when you have come to this dead end situation, I think that what's so difficult about it, that in order to move forward into a situation that kind of is ultimately better for you, you really have to give up on that dream, on that idea you became, for some reason, fixated on. I'm sure that happens to a certain extent to all of us. And then also another thing I've become aware of is, like, it's the one thing to realize you need to change something, and then sometimes you're in such a difficult situation, you don't have the best option. You know, maybe there's only the one option you're in that's really bad, and then another option that's not much better, but a little bit better, but far, far, far away from your ideal. And my experience is that it's sometimes a mistake to say, okay, then I don't do anything, which means staying in the really bad option. And because sometimes it's like doing the next step that's a little bit, and even if it's just a tiny bit better than the situation you were in before, it also gives you a much better perspective on things, because you see how bad the other situation actually really was. And then it is important to know what is, you know, what you need to be better again, to be well again, and then to take the next better option that is possible. At least for me, it was like this. Sometimes I needed to do an in-between step, like first go into a winterlet that wasn't ideal, but good enough, I'd say, or manageable, to then find something like I found here. So I just feel there's a danger of getting hung up on having to find the perfect thing, especially when we are already in an impossible or very challenging situation. And I wish, if I could say something to my younger self, I would say, look for the not perfect option when you're in a difficult situation, but for the one that's a little bit better and which allows you to make the next step. And also, I would tell my younger self, don't sacrifice your own well-being for an idea you had. Really feel into whether this is panning out or whether you just need to let go of the dream. Kind of maybe not wait that long, but that's a difficult one, and maybe we need to also sometimes sift through things. But I don't know, maybe other people would see it differently, but when health, for example, becomes a really important thing, or well-being, I would say now that my own well-being is the most important thing, which doesn't mean that I don't have dreams, but that they have to somehow be in sync with my own well-being, I would say. And if they aren't, then something needs to change. Yeah. That's it from me for today. I'm very curious to hear what you have to say to this, or do you agree? Do you disagree? Yeah, let me know. Okay, that's Anja. Take care. Bye-bye.